Good evening, everybody. We're back to Crusader Kings 2 tonight. I tremendously enjoyed the last couple of streams that we had on there. We had some people from the Panda Coalition stop by. It was a lot of fun to have them in. And my only regret is I tend to notice that if I do Dragonfall too long, I've done 2 6-hour streams which had a Dragonfall session inside of it. I actually think I kind of peak... well, I don't know when I peak, but I definitely fall flat probably around the 5 or 6 hour mark. So with that in mind, I'm going to try and maybe keep a little bit... I tend to notice... Try to keep a little bit better balance in terms of what I play and how long I play it. I'll definitely go through a fairly substantial amount of Crusader Kings 2. We'll have... we'll push this game forward a little bit in terms of... either expanding territory or just reorganizing the realm from what we had last time. I might do something different. I do have a game I've been holding in reserve for a bit of a surprise. But we might do some Dragonfall as well, because I know I left a couple of side quests. But with that in mind, let's just jump straight into Crusader Kings 2. I normally do a really long setup for this, and I think the better thing for me to do would be to do the setup inside the map, because there's quite a bit that we need to be working with on this particular playthrough. We just got the next generation of the family in, and there's going to be a lot of territory to distribute, as well as make up for a couple of things that we put ourselves in position for. Jesse Quill, my goodness, thank you very much for stopping by. I am told that this game is very boring, but apparently my explanations of it are sometimes okay, so I hope this isn't too dull. Oh, thank you so much. And Endors. My goodness, it's actually not giving me the number of people that are inside of... you guys are very kind about my voice. But yeah, so we have... Twitch isn't actually reporting that there was anybody inside of inside of here, so you kind of caught me by surprise. But yeah, we have got the next generation of the House of Rose. We got through an absolute miracle in which Italy came and saved us from an invasion. And by the way, Jesse, this must mean that your stream finished. I know I was stopping in for a little while, but I normally try to start around 7, and I thought I would only give myself an hour late to watch your stream. So I had a lot of fun with the Darkest Dungeon, but I opted to do some Crusader Kings now. Slowly reloading. But yeah, so I think maybe the best thing for me to do, especially because we've got... it did finish, okay. Because we have a few... There's a few things that we can do to... to start off this particular playthrough, but I think what might be nice to do is do a little bit of a recap in terms of what we have, what our strategy is going to be, and just generally what the... I don't even think I can say that this is going to be the strategy for maybe the next generation, but the next 2 or 3, because we've actually got a few pieces on the boards now. You stream from 8 p.m. to midnight. Oh, that's right, you're in Eastern time as well, so I always keep forgetting, it's relatively early for me. But I keep forgetting that people on the East Coast actually have, real... they have real life needs, like not streaming until about 4 o'clock in the morning every day. So, we have been the King of Scotland for a long time, and as you can see, we're doing some work in terms of just cutting up England. England is basically the most credible threat to our taking over this island. If we look at their forces at the moment, they're sitting on 2,000 troops, whereas my own holdings are 8,000. We can very easily beat them in a fight, but that's just simply because of where we find... that's basically simply where we find ourselves in this current point in time. The way we've been dealing with England is just once we have an opportunity to start a war with them, we do it in order to make sure that their troops are always depleted. The problem is that this can sometimes be quite costly, so we always want to keep an eye in terms of our treasury. There's a couple of other things that we can do. We can create the Kingdom of Wales, which means that I gain some claims on these two brown territories here. What I'm a little bit more interested in doing, though, is gaining a claim on the Kingdom of England. And this I'm going to need a few more titles for. I don't believe the game will tell me right now because he's at war, but let's just see. Usurp? No, can't do that. So, there's a few priorities that I have at the moment. Right now, I've got a domain of 9 where I can hold 4. Now, I'm okay holding 6, but there's basically 3 territories that I need to give away. Otherwise, I'm going to have problems managing my realm. I'm going to be getting less tax revenue, and I'm going to be getting fewer. Troops from these. The first thing that I'll do right now is welcome back the Jews. We had to expel them, so I didn't have to pay back the loan that I took from them. And we also seized their property when we did that. This game clearly is not a reflection of how I feel the real world should be operated, but definitely when my back is against the wall with the English taking over my territories, I'm perfectly happy to do things like that. Something tells you that you're going to wind up owning all of England except York. Come, give me some credit. We took Durham and you all thought that I wasn't going to be able to get that. Indeed, welcome back to the Sons of Abraham. There's actually, I'll maybe comment on this a little bit, just because this is something that we haven't had to deal with for quite some time. I think one of the things that's really great about this game is the way that they deal with the side effects. So, you can expel the Jewry, you make some money or something like that, you suffer some penalties to prestige and all that, but that's obviously something terrible to do. And the most interesting way that the game punishes you for it is you have these technology trees here. So you've got your military advances, economy advances, and culture advances. And there is a probability that as long as the Jews remained expelled from your kingdom, that you're actually going to suffer a penalty. You're going to lose about 50 in one of these categories. And that's more or less the way the world has worked. Relatively more tolerant civilizations or kingdoms or nation states have tended to attract the brightest and the best. And this actually also extends to the corporate world as well. IBM has historically been a little bit more advanced than the United States, the Congress, and the government basically, in terms of affirmative action legislation or anything along these lines. They had been hiring either blacks or gay people in sort of these senior roles well before there had been any legislation necessitating it. And Thomas Watson, the founder, was actually pretty clear in terms of why he believed that, which is if a rival is willing to ignore a perfectly qualified candidate, they're more than happy to snap up the brightest and best and be able to continue. So likewise, in Crusader Kings, if you adopt a policy that throws out an entire section of the world population because you for whatever reasons, I suspect in this case they're religious biases, you pay for that. You are not as innovative as you could be because you're just demonstrating that kind of intolerance. So I think it's a really nice little way that Paradox worked that kind of historical dynamic in, because it's one that definitely holds throughout history. I mean, another example you could take would be before World War II, right? Germany is certainly known for its work ethic, and a very, obviously there was the depression the world was going through, but Germany is certainly a country which has a strong military, very good work ethic, advanced science. The United States was also a country which was in a fairly good position, and of course, only one of those two nations became a superpower after World War II. Also, one of those nations accepted immigration, whereas another one decided to attempt to exterminate one section of its population. So it's actually something that, it's a current that you can see going throughout history. Anyways, that little bit of a historical anomaly aside, the next thing we're going to do here, the way that this game is scored is by the prestige and the piety that your ruler will accumulate. The running total is in the top corner here. We've currently got 20,000. And that's basically just how much we've amassed for our family. One of the ways that I can build piety over time would be for me to go on a pilgrimage. This guy is relatively old. He's 56, so he doesn't have that much time on this world. But let's go on a pilgrimage anyway. Very small cost, 1332 gold. We've got over 400 in our treasury right now. And I shall go on a pilgrimage to seek God's grace at one of the holy places of Christianity. I'll start making travel plans. Automatically I get 20 piety for it. So as far as it's concerned, you're not even paying 1 gold for each point of piety you get. I'll also be able to make some decisions in terms of where I go a little bit later, but there's some management of my kingdom that I need to do before I take off the pause button. Next thing I think I'm going to take actually, let's deal with my kids and get them educated first. Now, normally, if I consider that this is somebody who could potentially become the king or the queen, as the case may be, my algorithm is normally to find the highest stewardship. A low stewardship is actually one of the reasons why I'm having, I can have only have a smaller domain than I'm used to. One of the things that I tend to do is look for the highest stewardship and then look for some even traits. So a good example here would be this mayor of Radnor would actually be a really good trainer for one of my sons, somebody who I thought was in the line of succession. The fact of the matter is, love the title. Thank you, Cruton. I think this is, I think we've kind of learned how bad I am at, well, I mean, you're about to see my terrible parenting habits. Now, the fact of the matter is that this is not fair to women. Men are going to be at the front no matter what. So it's very unlikely that this individual is ever going to be ruling the kingdom. And so as a result, I'm going to play politics when it comes to how I'm going to educate her. And the way that I do that is I just find somebody who hates me and I give them the honor of educating my daughter. So in this case, we've got all of these are sort of likely individuals. I want ideally somebody who's relatively low just so I can take advantage of a nice approval boost from them. But I don't want it so low that it's not going to make a difference. So let's take a look here. And again, good traits are better than nothing. So out of these, I think I will go for the mayor of Chesterfield. In this case, as far as interesting traits, he's a tough soldier, unyielding, a pilgrim, zealous, greedy, gregarious, lustful, and stressed. Exactly the kind of person that you would want your 7-year-old daughter to be hanging around with. He's got an okay stewardship. And the biggest thing here is that his diplomacy isn't that great. Neither is his intrigue and his learning. But the big thing here is that this is somebody I'm going to be marrying off to some other kingdom anyway. So we'll just pick him to educate. And now we've taken care of the education of our children. You can educate your child so I'll like you more. I already like all of you. I wouldn't have a stream if it weren't for you. All right. I'm going to skip dealing with these factions for a second just so I can talk about some of the other things. Maybe it's time that I talked about this domain size. So the domain is your personal holdings. The thing that's most interesting about Crusader Kings 2 is that you don't just get to arbitrarily say, this is the way the country's going to be run. You need to deal with your vassals. You need to deal with the people inside of your kingdom who maybe have other interests that are opposed to yours. And it's how you manage those conflicts that really decide how well your family is going to wind up. In fact, because we're at the beginning of a new generation, we currently have 520 prestige. I'm actually going to write that down so we can compare how we're sitting at the end. This is basically the entire House of Rose, who currently has 30 living members. That's the accumulated prestige that the family has at the moment. My individual prestige, of course, is much higher. It's 1,009. So there isn't a direct mapping from the house's prestige compared to your own. But we can get into that maybe at a different time. But yeah, so my stewardship is okay. The biggest thing is I normally like to have a domain of 6 holdings. I can really only support 4, so I'm still gonna suffer penalties, but it's definitely, I was gonna say, you get a fairly large penalty from having 5 over. So what we're gonna do now is just find out what titles I can give away. The first thing is that you can actually only have 2 duchies without penalty, and currently I am the Duke of Lancaster, Albany, Northumbria, Powys, Galloway, and Cumberland. So this is entirely too many titles that this guy holds, and his vassals will resent him. In fact, if I just take some random person here, you can actually see inside of it. Too many held duchies is a -30. They also do things like they dislike me for having a short reign and that. I don't really have much of a say in terms of that, but I can definitely start giving away some of these titles to just sort of ensure that the realm is a little bit more stable. I definitely want to hold on to my core holdings. So Duchy of Lancaster is the first and most sensible for me to hang on to. And I think probably... Northumbria might make sense too. Although Northumbria doesn't actually seem to have a whole lot. I'll definitely get rid of Powys, and actually maybe it's better for me to think about which ones I'll give up. So Albany, I don't actually think I hold any individual territories in, which might be a bit of a problem. I think we'll just grant that automatically to this guy. I would prefer to give it to something like a son, but I don't actually have any... Like, I'll give you an example of what happens if I try to give this to a family member. Grant landed title, and I say include lower titles. I can't actually grant him Albany, and that's just because I don't actually have any titles to go with it. I can't give him the title without any land to go with it. So there's definitely other lands that I can give him, but first of all, just to get rid of the fact that my peasants resent me for holding these too many duchies, I'll grant him the landed title of the Duchy of Albany, and then later on we'll find a way of taking that away from him. Next up, we should probably give my son something. That'll get rid of the unlanded sons penalty. Given the succession laws that I have, we've got agnatic cognatic seniority, so this means as long as there's a male heir, the male will inherit first, then women, and it's always the elder member of the house. So I need to change that eventually, but at the moment I'm going to be... I need to have high crown authority before I can change that, and that's been particularly difficult to get from some of my vassals. So that'll be another thing that we try to sort out through this playthrough, but in reality, with a 56-year-old ruler, it's not very credible to think that I'm going to be able to amass about... I think I need 28 approval for this to go through. So we'll see if we can get it, but it's one of my sort of secondary goals. As long as I have enough heirs to advance the family name, I'm not too worried about seniority. So let's give away some more titles. Oh yeah, sorry, I was talking about... So because I have seniority where basically everything gets passed to, X member, the fact that I have an unlanded son will actually give me a penalty to my prestige. And in the end, once I sort of control all of this territory, I'm going to want, ideally, to have family members in control of these certain areas. So what I'll just do here is I'll grant the duchy and the lands under it. In this case, I'll give him Powys, which is right here. So now I've basically eliminated all of the problems that I had as far as my domain size is concerned. I've got 6, which is sort of what I wanted. It's still too many, but I've had rulers in the past that have been able to sustain 6, so I'm okay working with that. I'm going to have to reappoint my entire council. That's a bit of a double-edged sword. If I had good councillors, they're all now in Powys. But on the other hand, if I have good people who can replace these, I can sort of get the ideal council without having to fire anybody, and as a result having their negative opinion of me. Now I still have some of these duchies that I need to give away, so let's see what else I can do with this. So I've got Lancaster, which I don't want to give away, Northumbria, and Galloway. So basically I just need to pick one of the two. So I've got Northumbria here, and what does Galloway have? Well, I think this is fairly sensible. I don't really have any territory inside of Galloway. So, and they're roughly equal, so I guess -30 and -60. I believe giving him the title won't make him like me more than... Okay, that'll get him to 0, but I want something higher than 0, so because this guy likes me a little bit more, I will make him the Duke of Galloway. And now all of a sudden, my opinion modifiers are a little bit better in terms of what they need to be. Let's just take a random vassal and give an example. So she still doesn't like me, but she doesn't like me because I'm a foreign conqueror and there's seniority succession and things like that. I've lost the negative... I've lost the negative trait for having too many duchies. I still have some problems with the fact that my domain is too big, but I'm going to try and solve that through my stewardship and things like that. Next up, let's talk a little bit about who King Siggeir of Scotland is. He's a charismatic negotiator, he's a scholar, he's kind, honest, charitable, he's shy, he's craven, and most importantly, he's demon-possessed, which will give him a bonus to his personal combat skill, but his attraction is a little bit lower. And apparently he gets along with other demon-possessed people, but apparently we don't have any of those in the kingdom, so... next thing I'm going to do is just get some bishops in succession. None of my English bishops actually are in a... they don't have free investiture, so it's only the Scottish bishops that I can actually appoint. In this case, I'm going to make Leofwield. Now, one reason for this is that he is of my bloodline, so that'll help the prestige of the family. But more importantly, his opinion of me is 98. The important thing here is that if your bishop likes you more than one of the popes, in this case either the true pope or one of the anti-popes somebody else has set up, as long as they like you more, you're going to be getting that tithe money. So basically that's the reason why I like free investiture, is that it makes it more likely that that tithe money is going to be going into my coffers. So as far as the start, we've re-welcomed the Jews into the kingdom. We have... we've allocated the lands as best as we can, not giving away territories that I'm going to want later. We've got our children... Oh, looks like we still have some more children to educate, so... Oh, that's right, I gave away her trainer. So Oscar is the most likely because he has a negative 19 opinion of me, but his traits aren't that good. But it's my daughter, so who cares? It's another vassal on my side. The king is indeed possessed by a demon, and welcome to the stream, Alpha360. Thanks for coming back. Well, I inherited this character, so apparently he's been demon-possessed for a while. Alright, as far as appointing... That's some Dragon Age stuff, yeah. As far as these positions are concerned, it's fairly easy. You can see the icon as far as who you appoint, so you just go for the person with the highest in each given trait. In this case, I've got a diplomacy of 14, which is higher than all the other candidates. The game will automatically sort it by the given trait. 18 on Marshall is fantastic, and he does have a negative 2 opinion of me, so by appointing him, he's actually going to have a high opinion of me from assigning him to that. My steward has 15, so hopefully that will give me a little bit more for my domain. Nope, it won't. My spy master is 15, and my court chaplain is 14. So, and as it happens, he actually doesn't have that good of an opinion of me at the moment, even having appointed him. So, generally, these are all really good traits to have. It means that my kingdom's going to be in a fairly good state, and I'm going to put these people to work right away. I'm going to make him collect taxes in my capital, which will give me the most money. It's a pretty good guy, nonetheless. Yeah, aside from the demon possession, he's perfectly reasonable fellow. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with my Chancellor yet, so we'll hold off on that. We'll train troops in my capital as well. Next thing that we want to do is make sure that we don't have any heresies to deal with, because I know we had sort of an infection of Cathars for a while. Nothing to worry about here, and it looks like the only Cathars we need to worry about are in territories that will eventually take over, so I'm not going to proselytize in their area if I don't have to. I believe I have a few heathen in my court, though. Yeah, there's a few Cathars running around here. Now, it looks like all but one of them is imprisoned. Then we have a few pagans, a couple of Muslim... Where'd the Muslims come from? They're all courtiers, though, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, so basically pagans, Muslims, mostly Catholic, and a few Catholic heretics. And I'm demon-possessed, right? So I don't really care if people aren't thinking the way we want them to. So next thing that we want to do is figure out what I want to do with my Spy Master. Right now I only have one faction that I need to deal with. Now the Independence faction isn't actually that scary to me right now, and I can use my... I can actually use my bishop to, or my chaplain to make nice with the other bishops. So I'm just going to go by opinion here, and I'm going to start by looking for any bishops who have a negative opinion of me. In this case, I'm going to go for this guy, and the reason for that is his I just got to make sure this is the right holding. Nope. The reason I'm going to focus on him, basically, by making this individual, Bishop Gabriel the Accursed, what a name for a bishop, by making this guy sort of come onto my side, by using my chaplain to kind of win him over to my side, the faction's automatically going to disband, so that frees up my spy master to do other things. I just need to find out where he's in. So he's in Powys right now. So here I'm just going to assign my chaplain to sort of press the flesh, be nice to this guy. Next thing I'm going to do is start taking a look at my vassals, and I was originally going to do it based on their opinion of me, but this might be a good opportunity to try and institute High Crown authority. So I'm just going to take a look at who has the most votes against it. Currently it is Duke Reynald the Wise. So if we look for him in this menu, okay, Duke of Lothian. I'm actually surprised that he's holding that up, I would have thought. I would have thought he'd be on side, but for now, I'm just going to get my Chancellor to basically engage in diplomacy, make this vassal like me a little bit more. He has 7 votes that are holding up the High Crown Authority law. So the more that basically I'm going to make him work his magic, and I'm just going to slowly work through the people who have the most votes and sort of sway them to my side. This leaves me my Spy Master. Now, I don't actually have any factions that I want to take apart from the inside of my realm. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to study technology. I could do it on the continent here, but because I'm so close to York, some of this technology is already going to spill over. So what I'll do instead is go to the continent and go to places that I think are less likely. So in this case, I'm almost certainly not going to wind up in Navarra. And if I do wind up in Navarra, it's going to be to fight the pagan hordes. So not actual pagans. Those are Muslims down there. But in any case, currently Spain is effectively overrun by a caliphate. Just Castile. Yeah, it's just Castile that's left. And they have a total of 5 provinces. Portugal doesn't exist. It's good fun. And looks like France is definitely doing France things. West Francia is basically... I don't even know if there is an East Francia anymore. They've effectively taken the entire territory that will one day become France. This is, of course, 1047, so none of the countries really, as we know them, would actually be here. Okay, believe it or not, we might actually be ready to... take off the pause button. There was definitely quite a bit to get done at the start. As far as an overall goal is concerned, once I have this island, the plan is eventually to make the Empire of Britannia. But once I take this island and I don't have any more credible threats against me, the plan definitely is to start taking each of these duchies and putting families in their place. I want to institute primogeniture succession to make sure that I have, that basically all of my titles will be passed to my youngest son, not the eldest member of the family. They have nothing they can teach us. End them! God wills it! Deus vult! Yeah, there's definitely a lot that we can... As was historically correct, there is definitely a lot that we can learn from the Caliphate. As far as military conquests are concerned, definitely England is my biggest threat, and so I want to keep the pressure on them. There's some territories in the north that we can take over, which will be relatively easy to take over, and because they are pagan, we'll be able to declare holy war on them. That's sufficient cause to go to war, whereas some of these other regions we want. The biggest priority right now is to take as much territory as I can from England to usurp the title of King of England, and then I effectively have a reason to go to war whenever I want one. I'm glad to see everybody's gotten in the Crusader mentality already. So, for the next few generations, the plan is going to be to wipe the red off the map, take over the rest of England. After that happens, we can create the title of the King of Wales, and at that point I'll just clean up the rest of Wales, and that'll basically mean that we can just slowly pick apart Ireland at our leisure. It's very fragmented there. I've effectively ignored it just because if I can keep an enemy who has the potential to take territories from me, if I can keep them in constant war, I don't need to fear them. Whereas if I waste all of my troops on Ireland, the English are going to build up their forces and be able to cause some problems for me. So, the best way for me to take out England would be to try and take the title of the King of England from him. The way that I do that is to get enough territories in England that I become sort of the de facto leader, or the de facto owner of England. Which means that I'm going to start taking a look at my claims. I don't want to take these vassals without any ring around it, because basically if I support this guy's claim on England, I basically put a new King of England on the throne, but that's the throne I want. So I'm not going to support this guy because he's ultimately going to become a rival. Now, Hweiss on the other side, basically I have the Earl of Durham right now. He has a claim on Hweiss, which is basically this whole area here. So he will gain those territories. I'll basically conquer them on his behalf, but because he's my vassal, they will be added to the Kingdom of Scotland. Frater5, hello! Thanks for stopping by. Lots of familiar faces coming in again. That's great. That's kind of the effect of Crusader Kings, I've noticed. So if I go over everything here, notice that this is the only guy who has a silver circle around his head. And that basically means that because he is currently a vassal, because he currently holds land in my territory, he will still remain my vassal when I take over these territories. Now, the drawback is that he's not of my bloodline, which means that at some point I'm going to try and take that title away from him. And with his holdings, he's actually going to be fairly strong. But at the moment, I want to seize as many titles as I can and put them into my own kingdom, so then I can usurp the throne from England, and then I can deal with my vassals after the fact. That way I can start sort of splitting them apart, sowing dissent, and I'll just do the evil stuff that I normally do in this game. So we'll jump straight into it, and not only are we going to start by reorganizing our kingdom at the beginning of the game, but we're going to declare war right away. So basically, raising as many troops as I can. I need to be a little bit careful because my vassals don't have maximum morale, so I'm just sort of moving everybody back there. But again, this is the sum total of the English forces. They're currently dealing with a rebellion in their territory, so I have a little bit of time to hold back. Oh, you like the stream, so you'll show up regardless, unless you know you hate the game. Okay, that's good to... Maybe I should get a list of games that people hate, but... Maybe my treatment of the games will give people a chance to reconsider them. Okay, I almost forgot I started with a pilgrimage, so there are a number of different holy places that you could visit on your pilgrimage. All of them are considered most sacred by the Holy Church, but a somewhat closer destination might mean a safer journey. This is actually a tough call, because there's a side of me that would want to go to one of the more exotic holy places, but this guy is kind of old, so I don't want it to be a very dangerous one. No, I agree. I wouldn't play a game that I didn't like just for the sake of streaming it. Fortunately, I've got pretty broad tastes, so I tend to like a lot of stuff that I play. Let's go to one of the ancient sites just for the heck of it. So Jerusalem and Rome are the two oldest and holiest places in the Catholic Church, and here we will travel to the Holy Land. So basically, my king isn't even showing up to this war. He's just kind of like, whatever, Regent, you go ahead and do. I trust you. You got my back, bro. My things are packed, everything is in order. At the end of my journey, the Holy Land awaits. He is pious. He's 378 piety. Now that's almost over a lifetime, though. I should maybe let people who are new to the stream know that the House of Rose, which I'm playing, has historically had kings who are actually more pious than the Pope. So at the moment, this Pope has a piety of 1,114.6, whereas we, the demon-possessed ruler of Scotland, have only 378 piety, so I have a feeling that he will be a bit of an outlier in the House of Rose. It's actually also worth mentioning, perhaps, that obviously not everybody's been here from the very beginning, but we actually just started with this county here, which has the man in armor and the steward standing there. We literally just had one county, and through our machinations, we have taken over this whole area. So, but as is the way with world conquest, you're usually not satisfied with one kingdom. You usually want, let's say, I think 3 is a good start. They said that this was a lawless stretch of road, but you still feel rather unlucky to be in this situation. The robbers are many and armed, and they demand that you pay a toll before you are allowed to pass. I lose 10 gold. And it looks like that minor message that I just got rid of was actually the guy who I was working on. He's now supporting the High Crown Authority. So I'm just going to go through my list and take a look for the people who have 5 votes. So that's either Oscar, Gavin, Arthur, Malcolm II. So here again, we just go to our list. What I'm actually going to do here is rank it by opinion, because it seems to me a little bit easier to get people who are already on my side over a little bit further. In fact, I'm surprised that Gavin isn't actually supporting this already. So I'm going to skip him for a second. And Oscar is at -1, so I'll move my Chancellor to his territories. And this is basically just what you'd expect a normal Chancellor to be doing. They're just kind of going, they're making nice, they're drinking wine, and just generally making people do what I want them to do. Now, apparently he's already assigned, so I gotta wait a while before I can, I have to wait a while before I can reassign him. As you pass through a small village along the pilgrim's path, an old woman comes up to you. She recognizes you as a pilgrim and explains that her daughter and her family live close to your destination. They are suffering hard times, and she asks you to bring them a large purse of money. Of course I will help you. Of course I will help you, and secretly add some money of your own. Of course I will help you. Lie and keep your money to yourself. I lose the trait charitable, and I gain the trait deceitful. This is not my business, old crone, and I lose the trait charitable. Now, I already have the charitable trait, but of course, the demon-possessed ruler of Scotland is not without feelings, so he will add some money of his own to this poor woman's family. No piety gain for that. I did that just because I'm nice. Alright, there's a little bit of an opportunity here, so there's... Oh, well, looks like the game already decided to start that combat for me. Basically, it was a low morale English unit which was here, and I was going to use, it's still half morale for me, but I'm at 277 units versus 130, so this is just a nice way of cutting up the fragmented English forces before I go on to the main battle. But it looks like that's happening already, so this should be an easy fight, and I believe the Italians want me to join a war, so... To the heroic King Sighir, may you live in harmony and contentment. We request that you honor your obligation and answer this call to arms against Du Basileos of Neapolis. Declining would cost us 25 prestige. If we accept, we'll be part of the Italian claim on Gaeta? Anyways, I'll accept it. I'm not actually going to commit any troops to it, but by accepting it, I don't lose any prestige. So we'll just wait for these fights to go through. And rather than waiting for the fights to go through, you get to hear some more flavor text. You have finally arrived at Jerusalem. Passing by the Mount of Olives, you enter through the city gate and are immediately overcome by a feeling of having made a truly epic journey. The city is filled with people of all creeds and colors, the air heavy with smells of strange spices and foreign plants. You make your way through the throng of people and animals, excited by the knowledge that you are now close to the Via Dolorosa and other holy places. You plan to visit the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, but first of all you need to find some place to stay. After all, you wouldn't be forced to sleep in a stable, would you? Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. The bustling mass of pilgrims is impressive, as are the many languages, colors, and ways of dress present. People come here from west, east, north, and south. You are standing at a place where the roads meet, and this is where people and ideas meet. I can take the opportunity to observe different languages and customs, which will give me a 15% chance of learning intrigue or 70% chance of no effect. Or I can take the opportunity to meet new people, which will give me the gregarious trait. So I don't actually have gregarious yet, and that will basically give me a guaranteed benefit. Oh, sorry, it's a 50% chance of gregarious. In any case, it gives me 2 extra diplomacy, 5 attraction. Basically, it sort of softens some of that impact from being demon-possessed. So I'll take the higher probability of the stat gain. And looks like I didn't gain the gregarious trait. My liege, I wish to intercede on behalf of one of your prisoners, Abba Sewulf's daughter. Surely a show of mercy would please all your vassals. Your faithful heir, Petra of Durham. So let's just take a look who this individual is in my prison. They don't actually have that negative of an opinion of me, so I will say very well. That will actually improve people's opinions of me. My vassal's opinion of me. He's not just saying that to butter me up, so I'm okay doing that. Normally what I would do with... what I would normally do with prisoners is see whether or not they can be ransomed. Most of these can't be. Although... this individual has a nice opinion. I think I'll just release the prisoners who have good opinions of me. I think actually that was opinions of their liege, and I'm not their liege, but never mind. Decision's been made. We freed up some place in the prison, or in the dungeon. You finally returned from your pilgrimage. It was a rewarding and interesting journey, and you'd do it all again if you could. Still, it's good to be back home. A great experience. I gained 30 piety, so in total you gain 50 piety for doing this. Again, remembering we spent 13 gold on that. And then every month I get 0.10 piety, and anybody who's of the same faith, so anybody who's a Catholic, will have a higher opinion of me. Oh my goodness! Jesse Quill, thank you so much for the host, and welcome to everybody who is in Jesse's channel. I know she's got a really interesting group of viewers. I got a chance to meet a lot of you on her stream tonight. We're playing Crusader Kings 2. I'm sort of belaboring some of my explanation of the mechanics, so it's been a bit of slow going, but we're sort of on our way to conquering England and eventually splitting up the holdings amongst my people of my bloodline. Now we've got a new faction that has sprung up, so I'm a little bit worried about Duke Oscar for Scotland because they've got 1,000 men. Now, I have 8,000, so it's not a direct concern. Let's end that plot. But it's probably better that I deal with that sooner rather than later, so unfortunately I'm going to stop my Spy Master from... or, well, once they're available to... I'm going to have to stop my Spy Master from collecting the secrets of the East, and we will... what we're going to do then is use him to start breaking up those factions. I think the way that I normally handle my Spy Master is first my counselor will come and visit you to try and tell you that maybe associating with factions that are opposed to me isn't that good of an idea, and then if you don't listen, I will send the Spy Master to come and maybe bribe you. And then the Spy Master visits you again, but you tend not to see that visit. But I haven't had to assassinate a noble in a while, so... Now I'm a little concerned I can't see the English army, but that could be because they're wiped out. They are dealing with a rebellion, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to split up my army into a few divisions and take some provinces, or counties rather, and I'll maybe have an offshoot that I use to take out troops. So basically we'll have 3,000 troops taking each of these territories here. Poor England. Their fault for holding territories that I wanted. Found the English troops. So what we'll do here is we'll just bring that stack up together again. It's better, I definitely prefer to have an overwhelming force of, 6,000 people fighting 2,000 because that'll lower your overall casualties on your side. And then what I can do with that, once I break the back of the English, I'll be able to dismiss my vassal levies. Vassals get upset if you hold their... Like, the idea here is that the vassals don't pay taxes, but what they do is they provide you troops for your wars. So the idea here is that I'm going to first eliminate the English army, and as you can see, we're handily beating them. And then once I complete this, once we've effectively taken out their forces, I'll be able to dismiss the vassal levies so they stop resenting me for kind of tying up their own troops. And from there, it's just a matter of, carving up the remaining English provinces. I can't remember where the English were heading, so I'm gonna make a guess, an educated guess. Okay, so it says the English are going to Northampton. The trick on this one is that right now they've got, a couple of hundred men in their army. Oh, it looks like they're getting mopped up anyway. And their morale's really low, so they represent an even smaller threat than they normally would. And this is a chance, basically, for me to just take as much as I can to do as much as I can to basically eliminate their armies. And then, of course, what this is doing is this is accelerating their own rebellion. So this English revolt here has 3,000 troops. And so, in the meantime, they now have to fight me on two fronts, which is one, while I'm claiming territories on behalf of one of my vassals. And then on the other hand, they have to deal with keeping their own kingdom intact. There's a side of me that kind of wants to chase down this 194 stack of units, but what I'm going to do instead is begin my sieges, and then I'll dismiss my vassal levies just so I can have an idea of what my forces are. To think that a single count has done all this, yeah. A mysterious Jewish man has offered his services at your court. He is well versed in the feudal court intrigue and has a past both as a mercenary and a spy. If he can be trusted, he could very well prove to be an indispensable asset in your council. Indeed, a courtier named Sulam appears in the court of King Sigir of Scotland. Now, I'm not going to use this guy in my council right away. The reason for that is every time I fire somebody from the council, they dislike me, and I am trying to keep my vassal's opinion of me up just so I can change the succession laws. Alright, let's see here. Fish! Fresh fish straight from the river. Fruits and vegetables, a day or two old. The clergy of Chester is not happy about the merchants setting up stalls in all the church squares, and it demands that it be forbidden. I can agree, which will give me 5 piety. The city taxes will decrease. The bishop's opinion of me will increase by 25, but the mayor's opinion will fall by 20. Well, the bishop already has a 23 opinion of me, so if I say they do no harm, let them stay, he's still going to have a positive opinion. So we'll unpause. Didn't have much of an option but to engage Wessex here, so I'm going to take a few more troop casualties than I would want, just because this isn't a fight that I actually need to take. But again, I don't have much to fear from England, so... Alright, and looks like I don't actually have enough of my own personal troops to really support that siege, to support multiple sieges, so what I'm just going to do is go county by county. What you want to have happen here is this war score needs to become 100%. Once you have 100%, then you can make the demands, which in this case are to claim these 4 territories on behalf of my my vassal. Fighting a war and my people are worried about fish sellers. Indeed. Alright, so Osred is a male, so it's possible that he will become a ruler. What I do in that case is I sort by stewardship, and I look for just generally traits where I want them to be. So this would be good, except for the fact that the intrigue and military is a bit low. Let's see if there's something a little bit more evil. Evil. I think I'm looking at the possessed trait. Let's see if there's something a little bit more even. If there isn't, then I'm okay using that individual to train him. Yeah, it looks like everything's kind of blah. So I'll hand him off to Edith, Duchess of Man, who dislikes me intensely, will dislike me a little bit less, and says, propose that Duchess Edith should become the guardian of Osred. Osred might become Scottish! Good lord. My family is in fact Anglo-Saxon, so that is a change in culture, but I'm not particularly worried about that. Yes, I do remember that Wessex. I remember that Wessex has the potential to be terrifying. That's actually part of the reason why I'm fighting this particular war, is so I can carve a large amount out of their holdings. Oh, we just re-invited the Jews. We're not going to do anything to the Sons of Abraham. These are good people. CPO Williams, thanks for stopping by. How's it going? Oh, I forgot to unpause. I'm sorry, guys. Let's actually just take a quick look at Wessex and see. So they've got 3,000 troops. We're definitely in a good spot with them. We've got 8,000 to our name, or we previously had 8,000. Now we've got 6 from those fights. I definitely don't like the kinds of decisions which are, like expelling the Jews from the kingdom is an option that I only do if I need the influx of money to prevent the kingdom from falling apart. It's something that will hurt you in the long run through crippling your technology. Plus, it also makes you a dick. But I mean, in the case of, clearly the way I play Crusader Kings 2, the former is a bigger concern for me than the latter. Just got home from work. Enjoy, relax. Those terrible people can't hurt you in your home. Alright. By chance, you have learned that an old tailor in Westmoreland once worked as a spymaster for a local nobleman many years ago. The stories of his deeds and exploits are the stuff of legends. Even if half of it is true, this man could surely teach you a thing or two about intrigue. I will seek him out. So I've got Vikings raiding my territories, which I will ignore because I've got bigger fish to fry. As you visit the tailor in his modest shop, the harmless-looking little man feigns ignorance, and for a moment you wonder if you have the wrong person. He kindly turns to fetch you some tea, but then suddenly before you can react, he is standing behind you with a knife at your throat. "Who sent you?" he hisses in your ear. "No one. I only want to learn from you." After questioning you, the old man is finally satisfied you're not there to kill him. He grudgingly agrees to teach you some of his tricks, if you promise to keep the secret of his past to yourself. So this is a function. The last few playthroughs I've done, this hasn't become immediately apparent because I'm inheriting these relatively old kings. In fact, this guy just died. Because I've been inheriting these fairly old characters, they've already got their ambitions in place. One of the reasons why I want to have primogeniture succession is so I can have a little bit more of a shape in terms of how these people develop. But in this case, King Sigiri passed over in Christ at the age of 57. He died a natural death. Long live King Senfus. This is one of the reasons I've stopped doing single generation playthroughs. It's you never quite know what your how long your king's gonna last under seniority. So we're in a little bit of a mess actually because we've got more factions than I really wanted to deal with. Let's just take a second here. Got an unmarried heir, so let's deal with that first. Ideally, we get an alliance, but it looks like none of the... I don't really have any options. So what I'm going to do here is I'm basically going to look for, first of all, somebody who's young. So 16 is the minimum age for becoming married. Then... Ideally, they have the lustful trait because that just means more kids. You can consider them for their traits, although I consider traits to sort of be secondary. And then ideally, it's somebody who will give some prestige. So, for instance, marrying a princess of Scotland is great, except that we're related. And I would need to wait 5 years before she became of age. So, but we do have a Princess of Argon. Now, she's 27, so that's a little bit late when you compare this to a 16-year-old. But let's take a look. We've got Princess of Argon. If I pick her, there's a small prestige gain. just see if we can do a little bit better. So as far as somebody who can generate a lot of heirs, also we gain prestige. So I'm going to go for her. As far as, things that you'd look for on an eHarmony profile, she's demon-possessed, she's zealous, she's chaste. Oh, chaste isn't that good for making kids, actually. Greedy, wroth, deceitful, she's a twin, and a scholarly theologian. I'm going to live with the chaste. Especially because she does actually have a claim on some territory, so that might be something we can take advantage of in the future. My goodness, there's a lot of people. This girl seems like a deal breaker. Yeah. There's a lot of discussion about my Jewish population in chat today. I'm mildly concerned. I don't need to borrow. In fact, we are fairly good on the wealth. And, again, we managed to invite them back, so we don't need to worry about losing technology for missing out on the brightest and best in society. I will research siege equipment, because that'll help my conquest. Scholarly theologian, demon-possessed, chaste. Wait, what was the middle one? A freak in the bed, but she's chaste. Yeah. Listen, I didn't make these characters, I just marry them. Okay, so we've got an unlanded sun, and we have too big of a demand, so let's just see what we can do about that. I have Mercia, Lancaster, Northumbria, Okay, so let's give Mercia to my son. Why can't I send it to my son? Oh, the Duchy of Mercia is currently involved in a war. So once this is finished, I'll be able to give some territory to my son. How does the succession go? The succession was going great, save for the fact that the guy died once he brought some people onto his side. And yes, Freighter 5, I absolutely intend to leave the Jews alone. Okay, so out of nowhere we just had 4,800 Castilians attack me. Mildly concerning. This kind of sucks because I'm not going to be able to continue this siege, but I really don't want to lose these troops. Actually, looks like I don't have an option. Yeah, I just committed my troops to a really disastrous fight. Okay. Well, that's what makes this game interesting. So this is one of the drawbacks here is basically this is a fight that I inherited by picking up this character. And unfortunately there are 4,000 Castilians who are not dealing with the fact that the Muslims are completely overrunning their continent, but instead have opted to pick a fight with me. So, let's go... Let's improve our martial ability. I don't want to hire mercenaries yet, but I might have to. Let's see what troops we can raise. Not a whole lot, but we'll make it work. Fortunately, we do have allies in this war, so as long as we can position our allies well, we'll be able to come back from this. But the factions are going to become a problem now that I've lost a lot of troops. Actually, Lower Crown Authority is going to try and start a rebellion soon, so let's get a handle on our country again. Okay, so the most dangerous faction that I need to deal with right now is the Lower Crown Authority, and they are based in... They're based here. It's possible that they will declare war right away, which is fine. I mean, I'll just have to deal with it. But I will at least move the Spy Master to try and head that off. Next thing I want to do is improve relations with any church folk who don't have a high enough opinion of me. That's pretty much all of them, so let's start by moving my chaplain to Powys. Let's train troops in our capital because we're going to need a lot of them and really soon. And finally, I'm going to get my chancellor to... Let's find some people who are opposed to my High Crown Authority. Ranald... No, actually, let's convert some people who are supporting these factions. I think we should just go to Powys and win them over there. So we've got a couple priorities. We've got some internal threats now. I lost a lot of troops because of those Castilians. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be consolidating my troops sort of in the center near my capital. And I'm either going to wait for the factions to make their move, at which point I will crush them with superior numbers. Alternatively, my Spy Master will disband the faction from within. Have a good sleep, Jesse Quill. I hope that was not the content that's driving you to sleep, but I know Crusader Kings is definitely not the kind of game that... it's not Bioshock, I'll tell you that. Thorid of St. Albans claims that he would be a better chancellor than Bishop Beormoth. It petitions that he should be given the title of chancellor in the Kingdom of Scotland. So I have a suspicion he almost certainly is going to be better at it. Diplomacy 10, and my current chancellor has a diplomacy of 8. But I think I'm just going to say give him a chance, and what I'll do instead is reappoint people when the kingdom's a little bit more stable. Okay, so I have a small dilemma. I can now take this force here, which has the Castilians and the rebel troops. The problem... Yeah, this isn't Bioshock. Sorry to disappoint, Endors. The problem with engaging these guys directly is that they are going to suffer some pretty heavy casualties, which means that when the faction makes its move, I'm going to suffer some pretty heavy losses. Or sorry, by fighting them, I'm going to suffer some pretty heavy losses, and so when the faction makes its move, I'm going to be fighting them from a position of weakness. On the other hand, I potentially lose this fight with England if I don't move now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for these allied troops to come into position. We're going to attack them. And hope that they are fast to assist us. So yeah, everybody's coming into position. We're perfectly fine with our numbers. And it would be nice to continue to seize this problems, but basically we need to eliminate every potential rival, which means chasing these guys down province to province until they don't exist anymore. So we go to Warwick. Can we get battle music? I believe we can. Let me just take a second to find something partially appropriate. This might be a little extreme for what we're doing, but I think I have something I can put on. Yeah, I think this will have to do. I think it'll go to slightly more, it'll probably go to slightly more battle-ish music in a couple of tracks. To the previous question that we said, would you kindly engage them directly? This is 2 steps from hell. Justice is a harsh mistress, and I can't love her anymore. I am not the law. I lose the trait just. Your Chancellor Bishop Bjornoth has offered to go through your newly acquired Demesne title and distribute them to existing or new vassals in order to ease your burden of government. No thanks, I'm fine, but let's see if I can give that territory to my son yet. Nope, still involved in a war, so... A king wills, a count obeys. This is a little irritating that I have to, I actually have to fight 2 wars right now and then be able to continue the engagement with the English, but I think we can still get through this. My beloved wife Patrizia is constantly bored and keeps talking about the new fashion she's heard about. Now she wants me to introduce it at court. My money is your darling, my money is your money, darling. I gain the trait charitable. Vanity is a sin. Let's go to the church instead. Lose 5 prestige. I gain the trait zealous. And the queen gains the trait zealous. And this is my money you're talking about. I gain the trait greedy, and my wife doesn't like me for 2 years. Let's go for the one that gives me the charitable trait. So unfortunately we're suffering a little bit on our war score with England just because we haven't really made any substantial gains. You've decided to join your personal guard and their daily training regimen at dawn. Things were a bit stiff at first, but when they realized that you wouldn't have them, when they realized you wouldn't have them beheaded for scoring hits on you with their wooden practice swords, they taught you many valuable lessons. Your martial skill has improved. Parry, riposte, gain 1 martial. So the strategy here is going to be to take this rebel territory first because I've got a 79 war score with them. Then I'll be able to sort of stomp over the English to get that back into the positive territory, and then we start laying siege to their provinces again. Okay, looks like we've got a marriage that can start. Alright, so this war is over. We'll offer peace and enforce demands. This gives me 80.53 prestige from the war contribution. Let's see if we can commit suicide. I have depression. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, I'm definitely not committing suicide. And let's see if we can finally grant Mercia to my son. Yes, I can. Okay, this is great. So what I'm going to do now, before I continue on with the war, I'm going to basically do a cabinet reshuffle. So we'll see if I can get a better marshal. I can. And I don't think I have a better spy master, so I'll keep him. And my chaplain... Okay, so we start thinking about these factions again. Okay, Lower Crown Authority is going to presumably go to war at any moment. They have more than enough troops. And they actually have enough to be a very credible threat to me. And... this is Reynald, who I always need to keep convincing about the justice of High Crown Authority. Okay, so now I need to start hunting down some English troops. And again, I don't want to take a particularly vicious fight just because I need to deal with the fact that there's going to be a rebellion that starts. If your king committed suicide, I'd be sitting on 1,000 gold to hire mercenaries. Well, I've got 600 to hire mercenaries if it comes to that, but... And then, of course, we can always borrow. Okay, I'm getting a little weirded out by the fact that I don't see any English troops. Oh, it's because there's only 600 of them. Okay, and I just lost another king. You have a new heir. If your character dies, you will play as Prince Eormid of Scotland. King Senfus has steadfastly fallen asleep in the Lord at the age 53. He died of depression. This is a really unlucky run. This is definitely the most cheerful war music I've put on. Sorry, I thought this was a little bit more action-packed. Yeah, 2,000 gold. I'm happy with that. So some of this is basically just repeating what we've been doing already, which is making sure that we get the right people on our side. It's also nice because he's relatively young, so we might actually have a chance of instituting the kind of laws that we want. And we'll pick a new ambition for him. Let's say... Let's go for stewardship. I suspect I probably still won't have enough to get my demesne size where I want it, but we can at least start. Nope. And we need to educate our child. See, these are not bad traits to have. And most of them seem to be lacking as far as military is concerned anyway, so I will bring in the Princess of Italy. I think one problem I've got right now is I don't have any allies that I can call on, so I need to... Ideally, we'll have some daughters that we can marry off soon. Speaking of daughters, I'm just going to do another one of these politically motivated educations, and Ludmilla. And here I'm just going to crank up the speed a little bit so the siege can go down. My vassals are definitely resenting the troops being levied for so long, but I don't really have any other options. The Pope is upset with our law of free investiture. The Holy Father is asking us to change it to comply with church decree. I rule in my realm. Lose 25 piety and the moral authority of the church suffers. Alright, now the rebels can come. I'm pumped with this music. So basically, I'm going to need to deal with 10,000 people trying to lower the Crown Authority in Scotland. But that's why God made mercenaries. I'll pull the Welcome Cathar sign out of the closet. We'll be needing that again soon. Oh no. You know, I think the other thing I can do here is try and assassinate this faction leader. Type blessed if you love the Pope, ignore if you're a heathen Protestant. I'm really banking on my spy master getting some work done with these faction supporters. Unfortunately, I've committed myself to this war with England, so I need to wrap that up first. And I'm sort of just relying on this massive bankroll for a daughter is born to Eanfrith of Dunbar and Princess Elfred of Scotland, named Maud. Yeah, Protestants don't exist because the Reformation hasn't occurred yet. I mean, I'm definitely very lucky that the factions haven't made their move. It gives me a chance to sort of get these English territories under heel. Alright, here we go. Oscail, I name you a pretender. Prince Harold of Scotland is the true ruler of Scotland, as recognized by myself and other nobles. Relinquish the title or be at war. I will not be blackmailed. And we've got a rebellion on our hands. So, we are just about to take this territory. Actually, I can definitely handle these guys, so we will... Okay, and this was the head of the faction that I was worried about, so I believe one of your vessels can be discouraged from associating with conspiratorial factions if the proper leverage is obtained. How do you proceed? This time we will obligate the vassal. I'm going to wait until this siege is done, and then I'll come to crush the rebellion. Large bands of rebels and opportunists are flocking to the banner of the faithless traitor Harold of Shrewsbury. Honored King, thank you for reminding me of my duties and obligations as a vassal. You are right, of course. For the foreseeable future, you have my promise not to support factions conspiring against you. So that's good. That was the faction that had 10,000 men. So the next one we deal with is Duke Reynald, who we already have the... Oh, we had a Chancellor working on. We'll also get the Spy Master working on him. And let's appoint a successor to this bishop, because I can get rid of another supporter. Let's cancel that. Because this bishop is supporting the Lower Crown Authority of Scotland faction and he doesn't like me, it's just as easy for me to try and assassinate him. And I'll bribe this individual so that they are inclined to support my plot. So I'm waiting for this siege to finish so I can finally take these rebels down. Actually, they're pretty much at full strength, so this is going to be a problem. Let's hire mercenaries to be safe. I'll just hire the cheap ones, because I have a feeling I'll need the expensive ones later. Discount mercenaries. So I need to wait a certain period of time because the morale of my mercenaries... Oh, so many Imager pictures. Let's see what's going up. Death to the rebel scum. Thank you. So what we do here is we wait for the morale of our mercenary troops to build up. That's going to be before these guys have successfully laid siege to this province. I don't know if that'll be enough time. Nope. Looks like my Chancellor failed to bring the guy I wanted to on side. So basically we get these guys up to full strength and then we beat them with numbers. My liege, since I have arrived in Westmoreland, there has never been a shortage of soldiers reinforcing the troops stationed there. Under our guidance, they believe fame and fortune awaits them. And just as well, because I have a feeling we're going to be using them quite a bit. My liege, I wish to intercede on behalf of one of your prisoners, Tudwal. Surely a show of mercy would please all your vassals. Tudwal absolutely hates me. So does this guy, but... Okay, so we lost a fight somewhere, but I'm not entirely clear where. Oh, it's the Vikings. So I want to see whether or not we can... I want to see whether or not we can take this holding in time. It's going to be close. I'm probably going to actually wind up losing one of these territories, but with 5,300 troops I can definitely come in and crush the rebels. Okay, we've got another son. This would be from my own son. Alright, so they did get the territory, but we'll come in and crush them anyway. And what I want to do here is basically run them down constantly, because as long as I can defeat their army, I don't need to recapture the provinces. And we lost 100 gold to those raiders, so very, very happy Vikings, but again, priorities, I want to make sure that the Kingdom of Scotland remains intact, and if that means giving up 100 gold, I'll live with it. I normally try to explain what's going on a little bit better. One of the drawbacks here is that we've gone through, 2 or 3 kings in fairly rapid succession, so we're still actually trying to implement the plans I was talking about at the very beginning. But the current strategy here... my liege, peasants attacked me while collecting taxes in Westmoreland. They wounded me severely and I barely escaped their wrath. Your humble steward, Bjornid of Preston. So I lost 10 prestige for that. Right now I'm basically eliminating the rebel army. 100%, or eliminating the rebel army will give me a 100% war score, which then translates into being able to enforce demands on them, which means that I've conquered them. Once that's done... Oh, looks actually, it seems like because they successfully took the territory, I need to recapture it before the rebellion's done, so... So the simple version of what's going on is we're just committing ourselves to more war than I ever thought possible in this game. Right, so as tasty as it is to try and take these English troops, I really want to get my territories back under control. King Severy of West Francia has set up Pope Farigod as an anti-pope named Pope Telephorus II. So the bad thing about having these anti-popes show up is that it weakens the moral authority of the church, which means that heresies can come up. Heresies do actually translate into rebellions. So right now I've got a 75 war score against the rebels, so I think the best way for me to handle that... my liege, I have good news from the mission to Powys. During my visit to the court of King Bishop Gabriel the Accursed, I have filled his ears with poisonous slander and evil rumors about his spiritual leader. The relation has been thoroughly sabotaged, and I foresee that it is going to be anything but good from now on. Okay, but I was actually hoping to get him more on my side. Such is the life of a true king, exactly. So the idea here is that because I'm at a 75 war score, I'm not going to gain that much by taking out hundreds of troops. So instead what I'm going to do is reconquer the territory, and then I can focus on my war with England again. And as long as my my spy master and my counselor can basically keep running interference with that faction, I should be in a good enough shape to deal with them once they become a threat. So it looks like Worcester has declared its independence. And I believe that was actually one of my holdings. Or rather, one of the holdings that I gave to my son. Yep, so he lost that. Okay, let's see how the factions are doing. An important part of ruling a realm is learning how to delegate. That is something you finally realized, and your stewardship has improved as a direct consequence. Things run more smoothly now. Gain 1 stewardship. Oh, Worcester was England's? That's good. I don't know, I always thought that it was just we had this whole blue area here, but I mean, we'll reconquer it anyway. Okay, let's move up diplomacy just because it's 1 point and I'll gain some prestige off of that. What I'm going to do here is cut this army in half. So half of it I'll just use to take down the rebel army. The other half I'll use to lay siege to a province. And I think here, just to save some money, I'm going to fire the mercenaries so I can... And I'm going to risk it and lower... I'm going to reduce my vassal levies. And that's mostly just to try and staunch the flow of... That's actually just to try and staunch the losses that are happening as far as reputation is concerned. They already have negative 16 for me because I've raised the vassal levies for so long. There was one that's silver that cut into the blue that annoyed you. Now it's peach, which is even more annoying. Alright, we'll reconquer it. This song that's coming up, some of you might recognize from a Full Metal trailer. Alright, so we've got a daughter that we can marry off, which is just as well, because we're going to be in need of allies soon. So, unfortunately, none of these are going to result in alliances, so... marrying my 16-year-old daughter to the 56-year-old man, does it at least give me prestige? No! So, how about maybe the Duke? Nope. Let's do matrilineal then. Nothing there. Yeah, there's really nothing I can get out of any of these. Let's marry her off to... Well, this guy's a Prince of Castile, so we might be able to get some kind of a claim later on. Yeah, that was what I was talking about, CPO Williams. It was, no, I'm not doing an incest marriage. Yeah, so this is Worcester we were talking about, which I thought was one of our... Oh, hang on, this is the Kingdom of Castile that owns it. So yeah, originally I thought it was one of our territories that was taken. We'll take it back anyway, for sure. But one step at a time. We have a rebellion to crush, and then England to conquer, and then factions to eliminate. It's the Middle Ages. It's awful. It's just awful. If you want to improve your skill at diplomacy, you need to become a confident public speaker. Swaying the hearts and minds of men with simple words is not an easy thing, but you have started practicing in front of a mirror. Things can only improve. You talking to me? Spain was allied with some rebel group that we were fighting. I think this is a fight that I inherited from this guy. Being around Princess Sinberg makes me feel calm and satisfied. The contentedness of her is contagious, and all the world's trouble seems less frightening. Let me stay here. This option is available because you have the depressed trait. I lose the trait depressed, and my opinion of her changes by 15 for 2 years. Oh, great! So the woman that I just am going to marry off to Castile has cured my depression. All right. Next up, so I can improve my intrigue, which is at 0. I figure martial ability is more relevant, and also something that, I mean, it's going to take 5 units of improvement, but at least it's within the realm of possibility. An important thing to remember here is, like, when you get these ambitions, when you fulfill them, you get 100 prestige. So you do actually want to have somewhat realistic goals that you can achieve, mostly just so then you can actually bring prestige to your house. Okay, so... Oh, looks like we lost a siege, but doesn't matter because the rebellion zone over. We enforce demands. Harold loses 150 prestige. We gain 100 prestige, and also because they were rebelling against us, we're going to be able to... we're going to be able to... How do I put it? We can revoke a title from them later on. Better be careful with the Spanish. When did the Inquisition happen? I'm not concerned. Okay, this is weirding me out. Now apparently we have Suffolk. Oh no, the Swedes have Suffolk. Alright, I want to see what my advisors are up to. Alright, well they're simply in the wrong territory. Let's get him working on Reynold, and I think what we'll do instead is we'll start working on some of these other vassals. So she minus 60, minus 3, minus 65, minus 4. I think we're assassinating this guy, so let's start with this gentleman. So that's a shame that I didn't notice that before. Basically, this faction was sort of allowed to continue growing in strength. Now, they're now at 89% of my strength, so I don't need to worry about them sort of declaring independence. But that was a worry before. Alright. Just for curiosity, I'm going to take a look at the forces of Castile. So they've got about 5,000 troops. I've got 8, so I think I can just claim Worcester again immediately. My liege, my mission to Teviotdale has so far been a success. During my visit to the Duke of Court, Reynold the Wise, I seem to have managed to make him understand what a benevolent and peaceful ruler you really are, and he sends his regards. So this is the guy who I want supporting higher crown authority. I heard you. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. That is very well played, Inquisition Española. So it was looking kind of dark for the Kingdom of Scotland for a bit, especially given the strength that that faction had. But what we're going to be doing now is first claiming all the territories in the area that we're fighting over. And then the next, I'm going to be taking the personal territories of the King of England. Your war score will go up higher when you hold the personal holdings of your enemy. My liege, I wish to intercede on behalf of one of your prisoners, Indreth. Surely a show of mercy would please all your vassals. Well, he doesn't like me, so absolutely not. Although, let's see if we can ransom any of them. I can ransom one. So I'm going to let this faction go through because he has a negative 60 opinion of me, and this is negative 43, so at least this guy... I mean, this guy is also supporting the faction, so if he's got somebody working on him, that's time that he's not going to be attacking with me. When did this game start? And hi Philip, UK. This began at the Old Gods expansion, so it's like 867 AD. And we started as the Count of Westmoreland, so just this county here. And we've since wound up being the King of Scotland and making some rather halting but moderately successful attempts to claim the rest of England. Releasing nobles definitely would give me a bit of a bump to vassal opinion, but I don't necessarily want to release somebody who's going to turn into an enemy again. So let's see if there's anybody who's kind of on the margin. Not really. Actually, what I could do is banish them. Nah, I think I'll just keep them in for a bit. My liege, may the humors rot in your living body. I accept paying ransom for the safe return of Prince Harold. Basically, the thing I'm thinking of is that I have other means of raising my vassal's opinion of me right now. Whereas, if the wrong person... Actually, you know what? I should have stripped that guy of his title before I ransomed him. Oh well, missed opportunity. He's a family member anyway, so... My co-conspirator, Mayor Elson of Preston, has let me know that King Bishop Gabriel of Gwynedd will die by poisoned wine at an upcoming banquet. Classic! Failure! King Bishop Gabriel of Gwynedd did not drink the wine, but was unable to uncover the conspiracy. We'll just have to try again. Another thing that can improve my... Oh, thank you for the follow, Inquisition Espanola. I think one of the things that I could do to improve my vassal's opinion as well is to approve higher centralization, which will kind of improve my domain size. Unfortunately, I've really wanted to get that high crown authority approved first. Alright, what factions are becoming a problem? Okay, lower crown authority again. So we're probably going to wind up killing one of them to begin with. Is the Count of Dyfed still... Yeah, he's the leader, so hopefully he'll fall out soon as well. So the thing that we're basically doing here is making sure that any faction that... Like, I don't want lower crown authority, I want higher crown authority so I can approve my primogeniture succession. So what I need to do is make sure that the forces inside of my kingdom are not strong enough that they can do the opposite of what I want through military force. Alright, we've got another daughter. So far hasn't been successful in getting us some alliances, but hopefully that'll change. And let's see what the vassals are thinking. There's still -4 for the levies being raised, but at least we're taking the temperature down a bit of a shade. Okay, still getting more tithes, which is good. I mean, we certainly aren't hurting for money, but once all my wars are done, this will be used to build up my infrastructure. I could also use it for bribe money as well, but ideally that's going to go towards building things like castle towns. And slowly but surely our war score with England is ticking up. Ideally I'm not going to have to deal with this army in Essex, but we'll see. And Wessex has 3,500 troops, so they're not as scary as they used to be. Looks like we lost my spy master, which is not ideal. But we'll be replacing him with a better spy master, so keep breaking up that faction. They're actually at 131% of my strength, so I've got some vassal levies I can call on, but they are going to be a problem soon. I might need to call in mercenaries. I'm trying to decide whether or not it'd be worth it to split up my personal holdings. A mysterious Jewish man has offered his services at your court. He is well versed in feudal court intrigue and has a past both as a mercenary and a spy. If he can be trusted, he would very well prove to be could very well prove to be an indispensable asset to your council. Indeed. It's definitely ideal for me to finish this war as soon as possible, but I think just having my 3,400 stack, taking county by county is the safest way to do this. Especially I have the possibility of a rebellion coming up. They'll be potentially close enough to disrupt some of those rebel bands. My co-conspirator Mayor Wolfir has assembled a party of mercenaries who will ambush King Bishop Gabriel disguised as highwaymen. I am assured he will not survive the encounter. These roads just aren't safe anymore. Failure! King Bishop Gabriel got away from the ambush, but he at least the disguise as a mercenary is held up, concealing my involvement. We'll have to try again. This is a lucky bishop. But fortunately the siege in England is still working. And welcome back, Freighter 5. Sadly, the title of Dukes is going to be reserved for my family members. Looking at the other things that I can do right now in this playthrough, I've got 4 other weak claims. The big thing is that, I'm not going to claim Sweden. That's a little bit more than I want to dedicate to. Claiming Suffolk would just get this guy out of my realm, so I don't necessarily want to do that. And Bohemia, again, not really something that I'm that interested in pursuing. My biggest irritation at this moment, actually, is the fact I haven't been able to kill that bishop, just because he is providing troops to that dangerous faction. If I got rid of him... Actually, he doesn't have that many troops, so it's probably... I'm probably overstating its value. But sadly, that faction has gotten back to a point where they're a somewhat credible threat. Okay, so I can forge alliances with this marriage. Ideally, Italy. So the problem here is that this isn't going to pay off for another 7 years. But Italy had an absolutely disgusting army that saved me last time, so we're definitely going to marry into Italy again. And hopefully we just survive long enough for him to become of age. My liege, my mission to Teviotdale so far has been a success. During my visit to the court of Duke Reynold the Wise, I seem to have managed to make him understand what a benevolent and peaceful ruler you really are, and he sends his regards. So we'll see if that translates to him abandoning his faction. It doesn't look like that's happened yet, but hopefully a couple other turns. How many counts do I have as direct? I'm going to assume that's vassals. Let's just pause for a second and sort by rank. So I believe counts are earls in England. So 1, 2, 3. Looks like 3 counts as direct vassals. The rest of them are dukes. Well, dukes or bishops or mayors. I definitely am not anywhere close to my vassal limit, which is why I'm looking to do higher centralization, but given this guy's age, it seems like one of my better chances to get High Crown Authority instituted. So that's what I'm exploring right now. And looks like we're getting close to the end of this war with England. We're at 82 war score now, so I'm probably going to have to take Oxford, but we should be adding to our holdings fairly quickly. And we'll probably be able to usurp England just after that. If not, we're definitely close. For de jure kingdoms, we have a pretty fair chunk of England already. Yeah, it looks like Reynald still isn't on side. Okay, this is Wessex being scary again. I almost want to hire a mercenary army to just make sure that I've dealt with them once and for all. I think that's the right call, actually. Let's not chance it. It's a waste of money, but I mean, 150 out of 2,000 seems worth it for the peace of mind that getting rid of Wessex gives me. Wait, where the hell did Wessex just go? There were 5,000 troops there just a moment ago. I'm not going crazy, am I? Okay, well, dead mercenaries are cheap, so let's just get them to rampage across the countryside. I'll get my money's worth at least. It'd be nice to take out the English here, but I can't do that just with the mercenaries alone, and I want to finish the siege of Oxford before I do anything. Fortunately, it looks like the English want to try and reclaim that territory, so I should be in good shape. If those counts belong to duchies that aren't mine, you might transfer them to the correct dukes for a bump in opinion. Oh, that's a good point. I don't really want to make them... Well, no, I guess if their opinion of me goes too low, I can't handle that. I think I'll wait till the war's over, but we'll double check that. It's just such a pain in the ass to go through all of those windows. Alright, back to bad parenting advice. So again, we look for people that hate me, and pretty much anybody at 18 or higher is a candidate. Duke of Moray is actually a particularly good target just because they could be supporting a faction. Go with the Duke of Moray. So once we finish sieging the main holding in Oxford, we're gonna go back into this territory and just wipe out the English army. The original intention of hiring those mercenaries was to deal with the 4,000 troops of Wessex, but for whatever reason they vanished, so... And this battle should give me enough war score to enforce the demands and claim a pretty healthy chunk of England. Yep, there we go. So offer peace, and for enforcing our demands, the king loses 100 prestige, and the Earl Petra of Durham gains the Duchy of Weiss. So, as far as Worcester is concerned, Castile only has 1,300 troops right now. So I think I'm going to do... I'm going to do a claim on Worcester as the King of Scotland. And then I'll just bump up opinion by giving that to the vassal that actually owns it. Well, sorting out my domain, I want to keep 6, so I don't have anything that I'm going to change from that. I realize that I'm over the limit, but I've had rulers in the past who've been able to hold 6, and I intend to increase my centralization, so I don't want to give up territories that I'm going to have to claim from... I don't want to have to basically give away territories that I'm going to wind up taking away from the nobility again anyway. Now, the one thing I'm a little surprised by is that I'm not able to take the title of the King of England yet. Maybe I can, and it's just that he's at war? I don't know, we'll find out, but I want to take Worcester anyway, so... As far as the factions are going... They're a little bit below my... They're a little bit below my personal holdings, but that's definitely gonna suffer as this siege goes on, so... I still want my Spymaster and my Chancellor to be doing what they should be. The next big question I have is whether or not I want to immediately go into a holy war in the north and just add to my holdings so that I can have more troops to call in a war. Because I'm definitely going to be at peace with England for a while unless they declare war on me. Or unless this guy dies, but that's really not ideal. Somerset's a particularly appealing target just because it provides about 2,000 in troop levies. Oh, more education. So he could possibly... Well, we don't have a lot of options here. Oh, there we go. Okay. I don't want this to be a political education, so... Princess of Italy is definitely an attractive option. It's just military that she's lacking. And all the other military options are deficient, so I'm actually going to educate under her. Once we finish this siege, we'll talk a little bit about what the future plans are for the kingdom. Alright, so I don't quite see... It said that she could marry, but it's, I think because we're at war, I'm not able to do that. I'll just hold off and see. I suspect breaking the betrothal is not going to be the thing that Castile is most angry about. I also missed my 1 hour break, so I think I'll just wait through, I think I'll just wait through it and take a break once this war is done. As you make your way home late one night, escorted by your bodyguard, you run into several drunken peasants having a fistfight in the middle of the street. Your guards attempt to steer you away, but you have an idea. Would this not be a perfect sparring opportunity with which to improve your